Hello, welcome to a Spiritual Ascension, my own 5-year journey where I'm telling my entire story from finish to end. Well, it hasn't ended, but I went through 5 years of this intense journey and telling kind of what happened before and what has happened since. So when I left off in the last episode, I had just landed in Wells, Maine, right on the coast. Absolutely beautiful. And when I had named the last one, I think spiritual navigation, because this is when spirit really wanted me to depend on my intuition and to really gravitate to my abilities to navigate spiritually. And that's going to play a big part of your own ascension journey. So just kind of like being led from New Hampshire, where I thought I was supposed to be, and now kind of looking for a hotel and saying, okay, there must be a hotel here somewhere in New Hampshire. I think I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. And then I was always looking for the cheapest hotel that I could find that was decent. And now being led over to Maine, and I'm like, oh, they're telling me to go to Maine. I'm supposed to be in Maine. And that whole realization was like, oh, I get it, like that aha moment. So the next day, after staying in a hotel in Maine that first night, I kind of got up and I wanted to find the beach and found the Maine um, Wells Beach. And when I drove it, there's like a parking lot, and you can just kind of park your car and kind of overlook the water that overlooks the water there. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I found home. This is home. And it was before Memorial Day, so there wasn't a lot of tourists there at that time. And it was still very, very cold. Um, Especially like by the beach. And just there was something about the water meeting the sky. Like the water was the same color as the sky, and you couldn't tell where the water ended and the sky started. There's something about that. And I took so many pictures of that, trying to say that there's in everything of nature, spirit talks to you. And um, kind of probably sitting there for, the day or whatever, and then saying, okay, I have no idea now what I'm supposed to do. And there was something also about a need to touch the water. And I'm not a big beach person, okay? I do like the beach. I just don't like the cleanup process as far as the sand and the grit and all that stuff. And it was cold also. So a lot of people were walking along the beach, and I had wanted to kind of go down to the beach, but something was kind of holding me back. Like, and I also felt this is my first time also in the state by myself, the state by myself, and kind of being frozen within myself, like, um, just feeling different, if that makes sense. So I would sit there too, and just also notice the tides. And that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration if you don't live along the beach or something like that. But really noticing how often the tides come in and how often they go out. I would leave, from that spot and then go get something to eat and then come back. And then all of a sudden, like the tide would be, have lowered, have gone down. And just like a fascination with that, that we live on this planet that essentially runs itself. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but just fascination with the nature of everything. And I think also being in the city for so long and as they call like New York City, the concrete jungle, always being within that and not really experiencing as much nature as my soul wanted to. Um, so I just would sit there for hours and do my journaling or whatever it may be. So now, it's nighttime now, and I'm like, okay, I got to find another, well, not even nighttime, probably before that, I said, I got to get another hotel. And the thing is, it's kind of getting to the point where I've spent already for the last week and a half, has spent money on hotels. And I hadn't planned on doing that because I said, okay, I thought I had already had a place to live, had that money, I had some extra money to kind of until I got a job. But my plans were going to go out the window now with now spending a big chunk of that on hotels. So I don't remember where I slept that next night. Um, but that was Wednesday when I landed in Wells. So now we're talking like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Um, and kind of just enjoying the the area. And I think I drove up to, it's called Saco, and there's like a area there shopping and just also trying to find things to do during the day that that I didn't really spend money and um but also, I can go and walk in a park or go and do whatever. And then after that, I still got 12 hours left in the day. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of riding around and seeing the different areas around me. I ended up going back down to York one day, and there's an area where they have this like old bridge or whatever that kind of goes out to an island. I forget what that's called. It's, but I went down there one day, walked around, and then went to the library there and kind of sat there for a while. Came back to Wells and, got another hotel. And so now this went on for those couple days. But now I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm not going to have enough money to get like a room somewhere, like permanently. So I really have to watch my money now. And it came kind of to this point where I have a car, I had a Jeep, and that was shelter to me, okay, at that point. So when Friday evening came, I said, okay, I'm going to have to sleep in my car tonight because I don't want to use up all my funds. If you've been following my story, you know that I slept out on the street for 3 nights earlier in my journey. And there was something about me kind of letting go and surrendering and allowing the universe to show me what I needed to see at that time. And also always knowing that I was going to be protected no matter what happened. I didn't know anything about sleeping out in a car, you know. I think for the United States, it's kind of become more mainstream with so many people being homeless and these encampments kind of coming up in different cities where people are sleeping in tents and sleeping in their cars and in their RVs, becoming their homes because they just can't afford the rents. So I said, well, where can I go safely that, you know, all of a sudden the police, cop car is not going to pull up and like, what are you doing? Um, and I thought for some reason, the hotel parking lot came to me, and there was a big hotel right on the main strip. So when I got to be around, so that Friday I went to McDonald's around 9 o'clock and used the restroom for the last time that evening. And then by like around 9:30, I went and found a parking spot where like usually between two cars, because I knew that people probably were already inside and wouldn't be coming back out, for that night, or like up next to like a big truck or something like that, where I kind of could be hidden. And I had all my stuff still in the back of my Jeep. So there's really no room for me to sleep in the back of the car. But I just kind of, put my seat back, and actually I was laying kind of over to the side on the other side because I had two pillows that I had brought with me. And I kind of put those pillows on the passenger seat and just kind of laid over that way. And then around 4:30 or so, just before 5, it hadn't started getting light yet. Just before it would get light, I left the parking lot. I had met a woman down while I was still in Portsmouth. And it's funny, she had contacted me on Friday and said, oh, why don't you come down to Portsmouth and, we'll just spend, the day together and I can show you around Portsmouth and stuff. So the thing was, it was too late for me to kind of book a hotel at that time when she had contacted me. So I hadn't taken a shower that night. And now I was going to see her, and I felt so like, because I just didn't plan on that. So I left early the next morning, and I like took a washcloth and some things with me, and I stopped at a McDonald's, and I went in the bathroom. I just kind of like washed up really quick and put fresh clothes on, and then ended up going down to Kittery and meeting up with her. And we walked across to Portsmouth from Maine to New Hampshire, the bridge, and walked all around Portsmouth. And she had grown up in that area. So she showed me all different things that I hadn't seen previously when I was in Portsmouth. So that was really nice. But at the end of the day now, it's kind of like, I think I had planned, did I get a hotel that next night? I don't think I was going to get a hotel that next night. I had planned on 2 nights of kind of staying in the car and then Sunday night getting a hotel room. So when I went back, it's kind of like I had to kind of went by the beach and kind of sat. And um, I mean, being by the beach was so just wonderful. Um, just hours and hours of kind of just watching the water and journaling and trying to figure out spirit, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And I think that's Sunday night, I ended up getting a hotel room and then I was able to shower. I had, in the meantime, got in contact with the lady who said she had a room, and she said, well, maybe we can meet. I think it was Monday or something like that. And she was more north, I think, in the Saco, Biddeford area. And it's so funny, I knew nothing about me. Like, well, I shouldn't say I don't know, because I did study some about Maine, some of the towns, but I had never heard of Saco or Biddeford before. And now these are like everyday terms, that I use. Um, so I think I got up after leaving the hotel on Monday. I went up to Saco I think there was a Panera up there and was waiting for her to contact me to say, yes, you can come now to see the room. Waiting and waiting. After a while, I finally text her and say, are you still available for me to see the room? And didn't get anything back. And I'm like, here we go again. This is like, but any resistance, as I said before, means it's not meant to be. Like, so resistance, even though I keep trying, 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 spirit was trying to lead me in a different direction, but I couldn't see it yet. So it's kind of like at that point, I had made Wells kind of my home base. And I had called the hotel that I had stayed at the night before to see if they had a room, and they had a room. So I went back and I stayed at that hotel again. So this would be now like Monday night. So I'm going to pick up from that point when I come back in the next episode and tell you what has happened since then. Okay. See you in the next one.